if you have a physically demanding job and still get after it in the gym, you have my respect, man. You know, in the last month or so, I've been sore as hell, you know, trying to improve some of these weaknesses that I have, doing wide stance squats and rack pulls and things of that nature. I've been sore as hell, man. And if you told me that I would have to go and be a tiler, a plumber, a roofer, do something physically demanding on a day-to-day basis, man, I don't know if I could do it, man. Some of those days were dark for me, man. Like, I'm a nurse, man. I walk around the place. Yeah, we slide patients from side to side, from bed to bed and all that kind of stuff. But it's very, I would say, physically not very demanding job, other than standing on your feet for the whole day and walking around. That's about it, man. Like, today, my brother-in-law came over and did some tiling for us for the laundry. And, you know, had a good sleep, woke up, and I was just basically acting, if you will, like his apprentice, you know, carrying boxes here and there, doing very small kind of stuff around the place. You know, not even like a tenth of what he did today. And rocked up to work out today, and I'm feeling flat, man. I'm feeling flat. I'm feeling lethargic. You know, I've had a couple of big days prior, but just that a little bit of extra exertion in the day this morning, I just feel flat, exhausted. And I kept thinking to myself, man, like, I said to my brother-in-law, man, like, I don't know how you'd go about training your legs, you know, your back, and would still have to kind of crawl into some of these positions to stick these tiles on, carry awkwardly large tiles around the place, and, you know, put, you know, the glue on it, and just, everything's awkward, man. Nothing's on hand. Nothing's like a barbell. Nothing has a handle. Everything's, you know, awkward. You know, that type of strength, man, like people that work the trades, these people are different kind of strong, man. Different kind of strong. And that's why I always come back to these thoughts about farmers, you know, that old man strength, you know, farmer's strength. I mean, these people have so many different movements, loaded movements, twisting with the freaking towel in your, you know, outstretched, twisting, trying to, you know, get this thing stuck to the wall, man. Like, that's another ball game, man. Like, I think a lot of us, I don't know how many times I've heard people, bodybuilders, you know, picking up a freaking straw off the floor and doing their backs in. You know, they're strong as hell. They can deadlift 300 kilos and do all this wonderful stuff, but a straw on the ground would snap that, you know, I don't know, like, would get them injured because they're not ready, or they, you know, they're not going down like they're going down with the freaking deadlift. It's a you know, activity of daily living type of movement. You know, it's just a normal kind of twist with one hand down, pick something up, and then it goes. People that work manual labor jobs, they're like specialists at this stuff. And I don't know how you would mimic that type of thing in a gym. You would need to do 1,000 different exercises to mimic carrying a towel around and sticking it to the wall, or carrying something overhead, or like gibrocking a roof, you know, holding the thickened thing with your hand and then using the gun to shoot it. It's just very, very different. If you're doing a manual labor job and you still get after the, you know, in the gym, man, that's, I don't know how you do it, man. Obviously, there is a transitional, you know, a period for people like me. Say if I was to quit nursing and start tiling, that would be probably a month period where I'll be really sore. I'll probably have to cut back on the work that I do in the gym to kind of get acclimatized to work in that new job. There's a lot of muscle memory and probably a lot of specific GPP, if that even exists. But it's just another level. I think people that do manual labor jobs have a higher level of GPP. So if you're an office worker, if you're on the other side of this, man, and you are sitting on your ass 8 hours a day, man, you can come in snapped up. You can come in with a sore freaking back, legs, glutes, hamstrings, you name it. You can be snapped up and still get your work done. Obviously, you're going to be sore sitting around. You're probably going to get drained. But you don't have to carry no tile around, man. You don't have to freaking dig a trench or climb a ladder or crawl into freaking the ceiling space to connect some wiring. You don't have to do any of that. You're sitting on a freaking chair. You know, it's just, I feel like office workers have no excuse about getting after it. You know, some of these guys that are in trades, depending on your trade, man, like, I don't even know how you would structure that. I mean, you would need to eat like a freaking horse to get through a day like that and still, you know, come in and do your rack pulls and your deadlifts and squats. And, man, that's just, it just makes me kind of respect people. You know, it makes me respect my grandfather for all the hours that he did working in a steel factory and then going back and working on his farm, and he's just all day on his feet working with his hands. it's just it just makes me think, like some of these guys that we see on Instagram and YouTube who are doing impressive things with a barbell. I wonder what they do for a living, man. I wonder if there are any people out there who are just like flat out tradies and are also like really high level powerlifters or bodybuilders or something. I think a lot of these professions that we normal people do, a lot of these professions are not compatible with some of the goals that we might have on the side when it comes to barbell sports or bodybuilding or CrossFit or whatever we got going. It's just there's only so much energy that you have throughout the day. There's only so much mental capacity to concentrate, to get after it. I mean, if I was in one of those trades and I had really, same goals, squatting 300, deadlifting 300, benching 180, I think the only way you could do that is to train in the morning. I'm sure, like when now that I think about like Louis Simmons and all some of these guys that went through that gym, a lot of these guys would have a PM session. Like, I remember Louis talking about, working on the cranes all day and then rocking out back to his basement gym, and guys would be kind of like, waiting around his house for him to come home, and then literally just still in his jeans go down and start, a bench press session at 6 p.m. I don't know, man. Like, it's freaking hard for me to kind of imagine just living physically throughout, 9 to 5ing it physically, coming home, smashing yourself physically, going to sleep, and then doing it all over again. And some of these guys from Westside, man, they trade 5 days a week, 6 days a week. Man, talk about GPP, man. Unbelievable. So if you're listening to this and you're working in an office and you're skipping your sessions, dude, man, just look over the fence, see what your neighbor is up to. You might have a neighbor down the road who's a concreter and he's still freaking putting in monster sessions on the deadlift. Think about it. He's a concreter. He's always bent over doing stuff, lifting stuff. Lifting. Oh, my Lord. I think a lot of us, a lot of the population that I guess listens to this are either at school or in an office job or whatever. You just got to look around the corner and just compare yourself to some of these professions. I know for myself, even though I do a 12-hour nursing shift, it is mentally fatiguing and whatever, and I've spoken about that at length, about the mental fog, like what bullshit that is. Like, you're not fatigued physically, man. It's just a freaking fog. You just got to shake that off. You have to go in and just warm up, break the first sweat, and then you're going to realize that the nerves are all just mushy freaking nerves from just, psychological freaking trauma of the day, that kind of stuff. As soon as you wash that thing off, you're good. But imagine, I don't know what some people do, like digging a trench all day, right? And you are physically freaking spent. And then having to come in the gym and trying to kind of warm up, loosen up, and then go into a freaking squat or a deadlift. That's something else, man. Like, people that do that is just... And, the most interesting thing of all of this is that when they compare life expectancies, office workers compared to guys that work these, physically demanding jobs, it's actually the physically demanding jobs that actually outlive the office. The office worker is like, has the least longevity, life expectancy. Now, I don't know how many studies were done about this, and obviously a lot of the people that we know who are doing some of these hard jobs also have really bad, accessory life factors like smoking, drinking, all that stuff that clearly doesn't, bode well for their health long term. But if you control all of the other aspects, control all the other causes of somebody's death, I think what you will find is that people that are more active, surprise, surprise, live a longer life. And so when I think back about my parents recommending me to go to university and to study nursing and to, be in a more comfortable position, even though nursing is quite active, maybe some of that advice isn't the greatest, because if you really want your kids to live a long, healthy life, you should be putting them in position where they are physically active. Obviously, you can still do a 9-to-5 job and still get after it after work. There's also an option. But if you control for all those factors, more active people will have better life quality than people that are, finding themselves in a 90-degree death, what I call it. That freaking sedentary 90-degree sitting, 90-degree hip, 90-degree knee, 90-degree angle, sitting there freaking decaying the physical presence. all we're freaking working with is from neck up, just brain. Where man has ended up in the 21st century is just it's insane. But anyway, today was one of those days. And we bought this house 2 years ago, and I've got 1,001 jobs to do around the house. And I'm always finding excuses. I'm always sore. I'm always this, that, the other. But I'm glad my brother-in-law came over and did some work for us, because without him, nothing, the laundry will still be undone. Appreciate all of you guys. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.